Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Detour Live. I'm your host Dan Jones, joined as always by four-time national road champion Johnny Trevorrow, and we've also got a couple of special guests on the show today. Johnny and a regular is Olympic gold medalist Scotty McGrory, who's just plugging in his iPhone charger, and I think he's ready to go. Scooter, can you hear us?
I am. I'm on board.
Why you got such a red face, Scooter?
I don't know. The camera settings.
I thought it must be that Sunshine Coast, mate.
No, I'm in Bendigo at the moment. I'm freezing at the moment.
And you've got a magnificent backdrop there, Scooter. You got a couple of musketeers or golfers, or what's going on?
Well, there's the three musketeers, those two and me. There you go.
Yeah. Now, boys, we had obviously the Melbourne and Warrnambool on the weekend, and it was sensational coverage, I've got to say. They had the live stream going out with SBS. Scotty, you were there live as well. If you were sitting on your couch eating Doritos watching it. And we've got the winner of the race on the show today, Johnny.
Jensen Plowright. Yeah, I got to tell you, it was a sensational ride. I was so impressed. It was one of those days, every now and again, that Warrnambool pops up a benign day as far as the conditions are concerned, but it made for a great bike race. So there was so many people in with a chance in the last 10 kilometres. But the one person who really grabbed it by the throat was young Jensen. Now, he's only 20. It's his first Melbourne to Warrnambool. He's one of our elite track riders. And he was the fastest in that little group near the end, but he didn't wait for that. He just took it by the throat and hit him, attacked him, and then rode away in the last kilometre. I was very impressed. So we should bring him on.
Well, if you look at the run sheet, John, we've got the highlights of the race. So what if I show the highlights of the race first?
I haven't seen a run sheet, Dan.
Oh, I forgot to send it. That would make sense. That would make sense. So what we'll do is just follow my lead, John, and we'll play the video first. We'll get Scotty's take and we'll bring Jensen on.
Okay. The 105th edition of the Powercore Melbourne to Warrnambool got underway with ideal conditions at Avalon Airport, and it didn't take long for the first of the attacks to go off the front. For a long time, it was a leading group of two riders, with Raf Feinstein in the white colours of Inform and Sam Hill from Nero Continental at one point getting out to a lead of 7 minutes. They worked well together until the back end of the race, where fatigue started to set in, and eventually they were reeled in by the main peloton. As the group was approaching Warrnambool with 10 kilometres to go, it looked like it might have been set for a big bunch sprint finish, but then the attacks started in earnest once again. Amongst them was one of the pre-race favourites, the sprinter Jensen Plowright, who once they made the left-hand turn onto Raglan Parade, saw his opportunity. Plowright opened up a small gap, and from that moment on, it was destination victory. Plowright going across the finish line to take the win, and in the sprint for the minor placings, it was his teammate Ben Hill who was the best of the rest in second position, with Liam White in third place.
Sensational result, Scotty.
Yeah, it was. Look, obviously, long day, 267 kilometres, and absolutely dead calm at Avalon Airport. And I know amongst the big favourites, the real strong riders, and some of the track riders like Luke Plapp, who was strong at the national championships earlier this year. Also, Kel O'Brien, spoke to him as well, and he was second at the Road Nats. Those guys really wanted a really tough, hard, old school, traditional kind of Warny, which means wind, and there just wasn't any. So it was fairly calm back in the peloton. Had a long break all day. It came back, and now I heard from the second place getter Ben Hill that they were talking. Bridge Lane team were talking to Jensen throughout the race, saying, "Just take it easy, save it for the sprint. You're one of the fastest guys." Then the split happened at the end, and they were saying, "Just take it easy, Jensen. Save it for the sprint. You're one of the fastest guys." And he went with everything. He went with the big move at the end, and then he hit out just over a K to go at the end. So he did everything that a sprinter shouldn't do, and was still strong enough to come away with the win. So Jensen's not just a pure sprinter. He showed in the Warny on Saturday that he's certainly a strong man as well.
Well, as you said, Johnny, we've got Jensen waiting in the virtual waiting room. He's here now. Congratulations, Jensen. You must be pretty stoked with the result, mate.
Yeah, it's been on cloud nine since Saturday afternoon.
So just tell us what was going through your head. in that last 10 kilometres, when that little small split happened, and you had some good bike riders in the front. There was a dozen or more of you. But what was going through your head at that time, because of some of your big opposition, Sam Welsford and Luke were back there?
Yeah, I was looking at the big track boys because they can sprint. So I didn't actually really want to go to the line with those guys either. So I was active with 30k to go, even though my DS told me not to. I was still active up on the race. A few crosswinds as well, so I was cautious about those. But at the last 5k, got into that little move with Trekkie, and I was still anxious to keep it going. I was feeling really good. So yeah, I was following moves, also knowing that I was strong enough to bring anything back. So I didn't mind if something, he went up the road a few meters, and in that last kilometre, 1,400 meters, I got a run at the little league group with Luke Plapp in it. They just got off the front a little bit, so I got a run at them through the last corner. Went around the outside, and no one was really following apart from Nathan Earl. And so I just tested the waters, and then saw he wasn't catching up to me. So I kept the afterburners on and rode away.
Mate, if it was a failed test, you would have been deep in the shit with the team. That's for sure. Being a designated sprinter and hitting out early.
Yeah, but it was very impressive. Like when you said that Nathan Earl was trying to chase you. Now Nathan, strong bike rider, and he only had a couple of legs to bridge to you, but he could not bridge. You just put the gap in from there on. That was good night Irene for everyone else.
Yeah, I've still got that track power from training here in Adelaide with the track boys, so I used that to my advantage and really put the hammer down.
Now, I was just going to say, for our international viewers and listeners, I mean, can you explain how big the Melbourne to Warrnambool is?
Yeah, well, it's pretty easy for me to do because I love the event, and like Scotty, we've got iffy stories why we should have won it and didn't do it, but it's the second oldest road race in the world. So Liège-Bastogne-Liège is the oldest, and Melbourne to Warrnambool is the second oldest. But it's been a major classic in Australia for a lot of years. I mean, 18. I haven't got the dates in front of me. 90 something. The first one was run, and I think the first actual race was won by a bloody Kiwi. Can't trust him, but. Absolutely, it just built and built. So I can remember all of Melbourne were excited. They used to race from Warrnambool to Melbourne in the beginning, and then they tried it a bit both ways. Most years it used to run Warrnambool to Melbourne, but they beat the time for the train racing. That became a huge story. But a great tradition. Back in my day, it was always a handicap, so giving away an hour's start, which was a bit of a pain, but. I think it was in the mid-90s they changed it to a mass start, and but it's a wonderful bike race with a fantastic history.
And Jensen, do you get a sense? You're only 20, but do you get a sense for that rich history of the event?
Yeah, I do, but I'm also so young, so I probably don't know it as well as I should, which is my honest opinion. But I do see all the names on the list, and it's pretty incredible, the guys that have won the race.
Scooter?
Gents, what we notice, say, in Europe at the moment is these riders that have come from, say, cyclocross and go straight onto the road and still win in those really long races. Pidcock, Van der Poel, and, Wout van Aert, these riders that, coming from a really short racing background and then straight into the long road races. It's only a few weeks ago that you won national championships on the velodrome up in Brisbane at the Anameers Velodrome. You won the points race, Omnium. How have you converted and how have you found that transition? Obviously, it didn't affect you at all, going from track training and track racing and then straight to a 270k bike race.
Well, during lockdown, I did a hell of a lot of big rides and a lot of rides over 200k. So I had that good base, and doing all the track training, super strong, track nats, and then I had a week off, and then I got back on the road and I was feeling so good. Even like 3 hours deep, and then I was getting 4 hours deep, still feeling good. And I've just built on that since track nuts, and it's converted really well, better than I think road to track.
You're right, Scotty.
I was just going to say, what do you when you just considering all of that, you look at the riders like Pidcock and Matthew Van der Poel and these riders. What do you think about yourself and your future? You're part of this track program, so if the riders that are in the team pursuit for the Olympics this year, if any of those guys go pro, then spots will open up. Commonwealth Games next year, only 3 years to the next Olympics. Is your ambition to go into the track and go to the Olympics, or is it to go straight to the road, or do a bit of both?
Well, don't know how much Timmy would like it, but I do like the road a lot. So probably just depending on road contracts or what's going on with how my racing is going. If I'm doing better on the track, I might stick with that for longer. Maybe Paris. I'd love to do Paris actually, but I think road is probably my preferred discipline. And yeah.
Johnny, you had a photo you wanted me to bring up. This one here.
Yeah, well, interestingly, our major sponsor, Bike Exchange, not long after Jensen had crossed the line, he sent me a note, said, "Wow, what a ride." I said, good to see you watching a bit of the coverage, Mark. And Mark Watkin is the CEO of Bike Exchange. He said, "Yeah, well, there's a bit of a family connection." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Well, Jensen was page boy at my wedding 12 years ago. So I think you would have been 8, Jensen, back then." And so that one with the circle, that's young Jensen. What are your memories of that? Was in Bali. What are your memories of that one, mate?
Very cool wedding. Only young, but it would have been good to be 20 years old and go to that wedding.
They're not frosted tips, are they? I think you're too young for the tip look.
I don't know. I was in Bali. You never know what's going to happen in Bali.
It's that's when you look at the photo, the one thing you count, Mark being a POM, he understood this. I said you were definitely batting outside your bloody league, but anyway, he agreed with that. Yeah.
So what's your schedule look like for the rest of this season then, Jensen?
Well, it's all up in the air, like to do with like Europe or track worlds, road worlds. There's a lot riding on the COVID outcome and what I want to do really. So probably aim for track worlds or road worlds as the big goal, depending on if I make the selection for the track team or if I get to go to Europe with Team Bridgelane later on in the year.
And how are the track guys going at the moment? Are we going to smash the POMs as a bit of redemption for Rio?
Yeah, well, it's hard to know, isn't it? They're flying. They're always flying. They did very good trials not too long ago, and it's looking promising for Tokyo. I'm looking forward to seeing how they go, honestly.
So tell us, I hear that you're a reserve for that team, but do you, tell us how it works. Do you get to actually race with them at times, like in training? Are you get slotted in, slotted out, that type of thing, or are you just there in case one falls off and breaks his collarbone?
We've got our own, we've got the Podium Potential Academy, so there's 5 of us in that squad, and we're the next level down, so we're the next group to go through to be the Olympic team. And so we do actually get to do Madison training with them, and we also get to watch them do their TP stuff as while we're doing ours. So it's very exciting, and they are dialed.
Yeah. I saw them in Melbourne only a few weeks ago. Timmy invited me down, and I went and watched them. And you're right, they were dialed all right, and they could have just broke the world record that day. So they weren't far off it. So Pretty
So-
spectacular, really.
So, Scotty, we're less than 100 days from the Olympics. I mean, is this where the real sort of team mind games start coming into it? Secretive stuff, you drop a few little rumors, you throw out some times that are, allegedly breaking records and stuff. I mean, is this where it really starts dialing up?
Well, look, I think normally you'd be doing that, but it's so challenging with the postponement of the games. They would have been doing all that last year. It was all the secret equipment that, they had to announce the equipment by the World Championships, I think, last year. So that was all done. But everyone else has now had, over 12 months to actually develop their own, stuff. And so, yeah, all the cat's out of the bag in terms of what secret equipment they're going to use. Times and trials and things like that. I know the Aussies have tried to keep that as secret as possible without letting little rumours slip out, but they seem to do that anyway. They get out there, and I know that they have been riding extremely fast, but they're still up against the Danes, who have the current world record, the official world record, so they'll be up again as well. It's who's managed their people mentally the best in the last 12 months. You can imagine for some of the guys that are just pure trackies that don't have a road program to go back to, it's been tough, really tough. And I've got a national selection meeting tomorrow, my first time as a national selector, actually, because Amy Cure pulled out of the national team last year when the Olympics were announced they were being postponed. That was going to be too much for her to wait another 12 months. So that spot has to be filled. Steph Morton from the sprint program did the same. So whoever's managed their people the best in the last 12 months to keep them motivated, keep them on the right direction, I think they'll be the ones who will come out on top. And from what we can see, and listening to Jensen, you're seeing them, Jensen, at the track, they seem to be really on it, mentally and physically. And I think that's really the key factor. Who knows what the Danes and the Brits have been like? But I know the Aussies are dialed in, that's for sure.
Jensen, how tough was 2020 for you, mate, with obviously the COVID situation and restrictions and the likes?
Yeah, I started off the year we did a few road races and did quite well, so it was nice to start the year with a few results, but the full lockdown was pretty tough down in Melbourne. It was, 3 months? So it was hard to find something to do, but I was training for testing for the academy. So that was a few months of doing 4-minute efforts and all the rest of it. So that kept me busy, but I also did a lot of long rides with a couple of mates and just went out and explored Melbourne and Victoria, really. So we did massive rides. Did a 400k ride one day, and back 200k rides. Yeah. So yeah, it was actually a bit of fun and good for me, I think.
Hey, so Team Bridgelane are supposed to be going to Europe for, I think, a 4-month stint this year. And I ride a bit with a couple of your teammates up when I'm in and around Bendigo, the Eddy brothers. What is the latest? Is there a schedule? Are flights booked? What are you allowed to do? What's the federal government saying? Who can go overseas and who can't? Because some riders have gone over, the pros have gone, but what's the go with you with Bridgelane?
Well, I haven't heard that much either. So I think we've got a few race starts over there, and I think the management is still discussing it, pending vaccines. If we could get a vaccine, that'd be mighty helpful. And yeah, I don't know. It's up in the air still. We're just waiting for team to organise it, really, and we're not hearing much because it's so they don't want to promise anything they can't deliver.
What about the pro contracts? Because we saw Jay Vine go from the Zwift racing, so NRS and Zwift racing, to get a pro contract. Now, he's a GC type rider, so the Zwift data shows that he could be good on the climbs, etc. in Europe, as he was in the Tour of Turkey in his first race. Now, we've seen that with the women as well, going into SRAM Canyon team. But for you, as what we see as a designated sprinter on the road, you have to go and win races to get noticed. So you don't want to hang around in Australia for too much longer, do you? You want to get to Europe and prove you're good enough to be a pro.
I'm just desperate to do any race I can, just to prove my ability to teams and show what I've got. But it's hard without any racing. I know I got something that I can show off. So just any race is handy.
270k Melbourne to Warrnambool. But yeah, look, I've been doing a bit of Googling of you when we knew we were going to talk to you today. So, and I see you won the Burnie Wheel race a couple of years back, which is impressive. And I see you've been twice over the Tour of New Zealand, and you went really well over there, winning stages, got the yellow jersey for a while in New Zealand. You won a stage in the Tour of Tassie. So even though you're only 20, you've been around for a while.
Yeah, I've had a couple of results, but it really has slowed up in the last 18 months, and it's cruel because 2019 I was racing with Dropack, and they went to Tour of Thailand, went to Europe for 6 weeks, and did all these awesome races over in New Zealand as well. So it's just like, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just hard to come off all that racing and then just lounge around and ride by yourself for a year.
Will it be, like, looking back, so you go 5, 6, 10 years down the road, do you think perhaps you could look back and actually see this period as a period where it really did identify you as a rider mentally capable of, without having to just, because it's easy to get fit if you're going to races all the time and stay motivated if you're going to races all the time. But to do that when you've got nothing to train for, that's a different mentality. And it seems that you've been able to do that. So maybe this period actually will be good for you in the future.
I think everyone that comes out of this period will be mentally stronger, because in bike racing, sometimes you have a lull of no results or lack of form. So to learn that you can push through that and actually pick up some results again after a time away from racing, I think that's going to be very helpful for the future.
I don't know about you, John, but my lull was about 5 years long.
I never got out of it, but anyway, it's another story. But I do have some good news for you, hopefully, Jensen, because working hard at the moment, but I reckon the Bay Crits will be back in January, and I was impressed with you and the Bay Crits when we had it last, which was not the January before last, but you were knocking on the door, so I reckon you'll be a big chance next one, mate.
Yeah, I'd love to have another crack at those. Wouldn't you love to go back to races that you did a couple of years ago and have another go? I reckon that would be good fun.
Well, forget about Europe, mate. Just focus on the Bay Crits.
Exactly. We couldn't get through an episode without Johnny plugging his bloody Bay Crits again. So it's good that you're excited, mate. But anything you want to ask Iffy, Scotty, before we let Jensen go?
Yeah. Just who do you mentally work with? Have you got mentors or people that you look up to within the sport that have helped guide you to this point? And that may have changed over the years. But is there anyone there that you look out for?
Oh, it's a bit hard. It's hard though. I like to bounce ideas off everyone that I've talked to or meet or have had a working relationship with. I think everyone's inputs is handy. So no one in particular. Ago Giramondo he's been pretty good to me. He looks out for me and gives me good advice. So yeah, it's hard sometimes.
What's the best bit of it? What's the best bit of advice Ago's given you? Listen to your DS.
Put me on the spot here.
You're right, mate.
Can't repeat
Be ballsy.
Yeah, be ballsy.
I've got one throwaway one for you, mate, because you're talking about in the not too distant future what you'd like to do. You're sort of contemplating road or track, but right. Let's talk a couple of years down the track. Where do you see your future? In Europe on as a pro on the road? Can you see that happening?
Yeah. Yes, I can. Yeah, go on. Why not? I would like to. I reckon racing over in Europe and then coming back to Australia for track to ride with the Aussie team. That would be ideal. In a perfect world.
Well,
Sounds like
no doubt.
Sounds like a plan.
You're going to get there, mate. We've had a couple of comments before we let you go.
Yeah.
Wendy Superfan, of course. Hi, Dan, John, Scott.
Oh,
hi,
no.
Jensen. Awesome watching you come over the finish line. And Great Divides wants to know, who does your hair?
I do my hair, actually. Yeah.
Every
Every
another
6
good old days.
Who does yours?
And a
Yeah,
two on
who
the
does
side.
that?
Gillette.
Scott.
Gillette.
All of you.
Hey, don't put me in there, bloody
No,
basket,
no,
mate.
sorry,
I'm still
not
right
you,
here,
Johnny.
mate.
Johnny's
Fantastic, yeah.
John, yours is definitely not thick, mate. You could almost concede as well.
It's all right.
Nice
Just because
one,
I got
good.
That's good. It's all good.
It's all right. It's a bit
Yeah.
wispy. But anyway, hey,
I choose today, Brian. Jensen,
we,
ceiling fan does his hair. Just sticks it up in the ceiling fan. Poof, done.
that's it. Mate, we really appreciate you coming on the show. You're an emerging young star, and we're going to be tracking your career with a lot of interest, mate. And we're pretty confident that you're going to make it over there in Europe, and have some big success, mate. So all the best, and thanks for coming on the detour.
Appreciate that. Thank you, chaps.
Thanks,
Good on you,
Benson.
mate.
Good on you, mate. You're a star.
Take it easy.
Thanks, bud.
It's that time of the show. What a superstar, Jensen. To plug the sponsors, Johnny, did you take your scripts up to the backpackers?
Yes, mate. Well, I'm actually in the spare bedroom. I got kicked out of it because Kay's watching her TV shows, so
Okay.
closed the door. So we're here. Yeah, I got the scripts. I'm ready to
Okay. Kick things off.
Here we go.
Let's go, motorhomes.
go. Yes, let's go. Look at it, a Jayco. You wouldn't believe it. What a holiday in Australia's best motorhomes and campers. They love helping people have incredible holidays. One of Australia's leading motorhome and camper rental companies. They've got a vehicle to suit every type of traveller. And remember, just give Andrew a call in at Let's Go, and he will help you plan your whole trip. Because at the moment, there's so many people travelling around. A lot of the caravan parks are full. There are lots of free sites that you can get these days. So if you talk to Andrew, tell him where you want to go. He'll plan the whole trip for you. So a fantastic company.
And Jayco, Johnny.
Yes. Well, you wouldn't believe it. All of the Let's Go motorhomes are Jaycos, but also Australia's major recreational vehicle company. 45 years of experience, great value for money, designed and built to give you years of enjoyment. It's no wonder that 1 in every 2 new RVs on Australian roads is a Jayco. There's 29 dealerships around the country. So just if you're going to buy a caravan, where else would you go? But a Jayco, they're the biggest. But if you've got any interest in cycling, well, then you have to go to Jayco because he's been supporting Australian cycling for 25 years, and we should support Jerry and Jayco.
And Mitchelton Wines, Johnny. If you want to get behind the Jaycos and the Let's Goes, you might as well do it with a nice bottle of Mitchelton.
Might as well keep the detour alive and go to
That's
Mitchelton.
right.
Exactly. One of Australia's favourite wineries and a place of escape. Experience the history, the beauty and the serenity of the Goulburn Valley at your own pace. I'm looking out at the Goulburn River as I speak. Looking over the vineyards from the iconic tower, staying at the new hotel, relaxing by the pool, recharging in the day spa and exploring the seasonal menu in the Muse restaurant. Stopping by the Providor and touring the cellars, and of course, tasting their signature wines. So an amazing spa, and so you get recharged by day, relaxed by night, escape to a place of modern comfort and timeless beauty. Also, it's become renowned as the most amazing venue for weddings and those special occasions. There's a happy couple.
There's another one.
Yeah, another happy couple. And you can get married out overlooking. They've got a wonderful area set up there, right overlooking the Goulburn. Or the weather's a little bit inclement, they've got fantastic spaces inside, up on the tower, down in the cellar, and of course, further down, there is the most amazing, there it is, venue for the Aboriginal Art Gallery. It is the world's largest private Aboriginal art gallery, and the works of art are amazing. And there it is, the $10,000 Land Cruiser with the 5.4 million euro paint job.
5.4. She's bouncing around like Bitcoin. I reckon it got to 5.5 a couple of weeks ago, but and then it dropped to 3.3. It's back up again. So it's good news if he ever wants Bitcoin to resell it. Yep. All right, here's quick word from our great mates at Bike Exchange.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike. 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Thanks again to our great mates at Bike Exchange. Now, we were talking earlier, lads, about the Olympics. Now, Scotty, you mentioned before that you're actually on the selection committee. When will they actually announce the teams for Tokyo?
Well, some have already been done. So the men's side for the track have already been announced. It was just that Amy Cure pulled out after the announcement last year that the games were being postponed. So that her spot hasn't been finalised yet. So we will be going through that tomorrow. And we've also got to discuss what's going to happen now that Steph Morton has pulled out of the sprint program as well. That's left a really big hole, actually. So we were a solid chance for three medals, team sprint, Kieran, and sprint with Steph Morton. And then she's gone on to be a policewoman and pulled out of the program. So it really has left a big hole in the women's sprint department. Amy's position in the team pursuit, that should be filled with someone fairly similar to her. So I don't think that'll be too much of an issue. And I think we're still going to be competitive in that. But all the male team pursuiters, the guys that were racing around at Warrnambool trying to beat Jensen Plowright, they're solid, been locked in for a while and ready to go. The road race and the road events, that's still to be completely finalised. Not far from having that done. And they've got a few issues with the BMX, actually. So the BMX was a bit of a challenge because of all the COVID postponements throughout last year, and the start of this year has been a challenge as well to get enough events for riders to qualify in. And Bmx Freestyle, which is new at the games this year, we've got the first and second best freestylers in the world. Yet only the #1 nation ranked gets to take 2 competitors. The rest, it's only 1 competitor each. So if America gets over the top of us before the final qualifying, then they'll get to take 2 riders. We'll only get to take 1, but yet we've got the #1 and #2 ranked in the world at the moment. So watch this space for that one. We should be okay with that, and should probably then pick up a gold medal, hopefully, in BMX Freestyle.
What are the new events that are coming into the Olympics this year?
Rock climbing is one. So there's a couple like speed climbing, and then there's bouldering as well. So 2 different elements within rock climbing, and that's gone away from traditional outdoor proper rock climbing. This is stuff that the new generation of climbers are coming from the gyms and all these climbing gyms around the world. So it's a different sort of breed, a little bit more. Well, it's probably safer. If you miss a hold and slip, you don't die this time. You just fall onto a mat. It's better than being up a cliff somewhere. Surfing is in for, I think it's demonstration sport perhaps, and skateboarding. I think skateboarding is another one that's in this time. Now, in Paris, I think they're talking about, I'm not sure if it was confirmed or not, but they are talking about breakdancing coming into the next Olympics. Now, we all know breakdancing's been around for a long time. I didn't realise people still did it, though. So, obviously, it must be still popular, and no disrespect to anyone that is a breakdancer. But, yeah.
I still do it, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You break things when you dance.
You break things when you dance, yeah. But I mean, the most common question is like you look at what's happening in India at the moment, and then the IPL, having their issues. How the hell can they run the Olympics in the current climate? Like that's the biggest question that people are going, hang on, how's this going to work?
Well, how can they do it? Because of money. And purely because of money, and they'll make so many sacrifices because it's cost so much, it's worth so much, so they're going to want to make it happen. Every athlete apparently now has to be vaccinated before they go, which that makes sense. They better get onto it though, because it's between I think 6 and 12 weeks between jabs for the vaccine. So The athletes need to get onto that. We haven't been great with our vaccine rollout, so hopefully the athletes can get covered. And there is some pushback from the residents in Tokyo and around Japan because it's a real hotspot at the moment, and they want to get looked after before they have a sporting event. But this particular sporting event is so big, mate.
Iffy?
Yeah, well, I was just saying they're on their fourth wave. But now I do notice that, or I did talking to Scotty about 10 days ago. He was racing into Sydney to do a voice test, because not only is he a selector for the Olympic Games, but he is going to be on with the Voice of Cycling. Phil Liggett and Scotty are doing the commentary on cycling for Channel 7. So now you had to do a test because you're going to be calling it from Sydney and he's going to be calling it from London. So how did it all go? And tell us how it's going to work.
Well, look, long story short, but it'll still be long. I went to Sydney to do the test, but we are doing it from Melbourne. So we're calling it from Melbourne. Couldn't do it from Melbourne because the production company behind Channel 7 that are setting up the studio haven't done that yet. So their facilities that they have ready are in Sydney. So I went up there to do it. Same infrastructure that we will have when we're in Melbourne. Anna Mears is also involved with the commentary alongside me. So Anna and I will be in Melbourne. Phil will be in London. But the challenge we wanted to test was when they send, like when Anna and I see the video, we see it straight away through their system. But then we have to send that footage to Phil, and that takes 24 frames to get to Phil, which is about 1 second. So what they're going to do is delay the footage coming to Anna and I by 24 frames. So at least Phil and we will see the same vision at the same time. But when he commentates, it'll take 14 frames to get back to us, about a half a second. So he'll be half a second delay before he gets to us. So the danger is that we talk over the top of each other, which, that's the ultimate sin. You don't want to do that. So we had to do some tests to see if it was going to work and be okay. And, we understanding there would be a slight delay.
We never talk over the top of it. Oh, sorry.
No, we do.
No, we do the finger.
Dan and I have got a great system. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have to really calculate that and work it out. And we'll have a camera on our commentary position. He'll have one on his. So we'll be able to see him in vision. He'll be able to see us, and we can put our hand up the same. If we want to jump in and do something. The challenge really is going to be on the track. When you're doing the sprint, Kieran, and those events, when it's really fast and furious and things are happening quickly. So we just need to be really diligent about how we work as commentators. But yeah, it's going to be manageable. I was devastated that we as commentators weren't going to Tokyo in the first place. And this was before the pandemic hit. We were told that budget restraints and they weren't going to send all the commentators over there. So I was a bit pissed off about that in the first place. But now no one's going. It's only going to be the athletes. Channel 7 are sending just a couple of reporters to go into the mix zone for interviews and some colour stuff. That's it. Hosting, commentary, everything's going to be done from Australia.
Yeah, that's the one thing that COVID has done for this industry. It'll never get back. I mean, people who normally go to the Tour de France and all that, they're probably not going to get back there. It's going to be done remotely from now on. They're going to save millions of dollars, and it's working. But I still reckon, as you would agree, Scotty, it's not the same. You don't get to mix with the athletes. No. You don't get that vibe, that feel. It's not the same.
No, you're right. Look, and you'll call the pictures, and as a professional, you'll do the best job you can as a commentator. You'll make it sound as if you're there and exciting, etc. But particularly the velodrome, like when you're at the track at the Olympic Games, and that's still a highlight of my actual professional racing career and post, was being at the velodrome in London when Chris Hoy won the Kieran. And it wasn't because it was Chris or anything in particular that I knew him or anything. It was just that it was a legend of the sport on his home track in his last Olympic Games, and the crowd went absolutely berserk. And he was crying, he was in tears. I actually, I looked across at Phil Liggett from my commentary position. You could hear through your headphones, the atmosphere and the roar of the crowd. But I looked at him to make sure he was mid-sentence, and then I actually just took the headphones off my head because I wanted to hear that noise and that roar through my own ears, not through the speaker system and through the headphones, and then put them back on. It was just amazing, and you cannot replicate that. And that's something that we're certainly going to miss. But you're right, the companies have saved so much money. I heard something about, I think NBC not sending the crew to the Tour de France last year saved them $7 million or something. So any bean counters in a television network company now is going to say, we won't be going back there again.
The funniest was when we used to do the Fox Sports coverage at the tour back in the day, and we'd go hang out at the NBC media tent just because they had food and we were like seagulls trying to get scraps or, watch their TVs or whatever. And then remember we'd talk to them and they go, hey, so we'd say, how many people in your crew? And they said, we've run a tight ship. We probably got 150. And you're like, 150 people. And they go, hey, how many with you guys at Fox? I go, 2. You're looking at it. It's us. This is it. And then the other one was when we were pushing for position in the media scrum at the mix zone, and we knocked over the Chinese crew, and we got in front of them, and they said, "Oh no, it's okay. We don't have that many viewers anyway." And we said, "How many viewers have you got?" They said, "Oh no, it's like 20 mil or something." Like, what? Our stuff goes out to about 2,000. So,
oh, come on, there's more than that. Still.
Yeah, but
talking about numbers, I was quite like we went through it before, but with the Melbourne Warrnambool, as you said, I was sitting there eating Doritos. I'd been for a ride. I went to the start, but I didn't go. I normally go to Warrnambool. I didn't. So I got home. Went for a quick ride, and I knew it was coming on live stream at 11:30. So I opened the computer. I still had the bike nicks on, and I thought I'd have a quick look. And it was fantastic. The live stream was absolutely brilliant. Now they had a few issues early on because of where the Telstra coverage in some of those rural spots, but Matty Keenan and Dave Macca handled that really well. They were ready for that. But the last couple of hours, it was just fantastic. And they had 40,000 views, 40,000 people watching it. That is staggering for live streaming.
Well, shout out to Ian Gates and Karen Jones and all the crew that pulled that together. That's great. And I mean, you look at the National Road Series in Australia.
Scotty was a part of the TV crew. Yeah,
that's right.
Well, I'm recording at the moment. So today and tomorrow, I'm recording the commentary for the highlight show that will go on SBS this weekend. So yeah, and I was actually there as I was doing the interviews and stuff, pre and post race stuff. Yeah.
But I think particularly for the NRS in Australia, I mean, that has to be a big priority in terms of spreading the message. Trying to get as much content out there as possible because people will watch it. Like if it's there, they'll digest it, and then meeting the characters like Jensen tonight. I mean, it's crucial because there are so many characters in the sport. I mean, he's a ripper. You can tell he just sounds like that country bloke that you meet down at the pub.
Yeah. Well, and we didn't. I was going to ask him this because he does have a reputation of win it or bin it. But that's typical sprinter. He wants to be at the line first. There was a big crash at the Nationals in the scratch race actually that he was involved in, and he was involved in it because he caused it. That's why the crash happened. But he was desperate to get a win. But sometimes that's the attitude you need to have. And he'll get a lot of wins, and he'll probably have a few stacks along the way as well. But hey, look at the start of the season because of the Tour Down Under not running as it normally does, with all the European teams coming out. Then Stuart O'Grady and the crew over there decided to make it a National Road Series event, which was it was almost like the grand final of NRS races. It's the biggest they've ever had, which was great. Now we've had the Melbourne Warrnambool with great coverage with the live streaming. They've tried it a few times in the past. This is the first time that it's worked to this level, and it was much, much better than it has been. So while things are being postponed, it's still challenging. We've had 2 absolutely cracking races for the NRS this year, so hopefully we can build on that.
Before we wrap up the Olympics, who's our best chance of a medal at the Games, do you think?
Oh, best chance. Look, it's the Bmx Freestyle. Brandon Lupus and Logan Martin, they're our best 2 chances. So Brandon's the current world champion. And Logan was the world champion. So those 2 duke it out. They train not always together, but they are up on the Gold Coast and they do a lot of training at the same facility. So they feed off each other. It's great to have the 2 best guys in the world, competing against each other, pushing each other and encouraging each other, which they really do in that particular sport. From the traditional cycling events, I think it's our Team Pursuit, our men's Team Pursuit squad. They're on the money. They're right there or thereabouts. The question mark is what are Great Britain going to do? I think they've actually benefited Great Britain by having this extra year, because they were starting to get a little bit thin with some of the numbers in their squad. So I think they've had another 12 months to actually work with a few riders. And Ed Clancy, I think, was having back issues as well. So he's the greatest team pursuit rider of all time. He has won 3 Olympic gold medals. He's on his way to perhaps trying to get 4. So we'll wait and see what the Team GB do. Denmark are also the other ones in the mix. So I think it's our team pursuit men and our BMX freestylers that are our out-and-out best chances. But I'll be looking forward for the Madison guys, both men's and women's Madisons. They're back in the event, the games for the first time. Can be a bit random, but I'm sure our Aussies, in particular the men, have got a real chance in that as well.
Have they picked the team? So who's the men's team for the Madison?
That I'm not really sure. That I don't know. It's still like they've got 4 guys.
You're a bloody selector. What do you mean you don't know? You can say, no, we haven't selected it yet. You can't say you don't know. No, that's correct, because you're selecting a team to fill the spots. How they work out within what races they ride, that's up to Tim Decker and the national coach. So it's got nothing to do with the selection process. So they've got four guys to choose from. Sounds a bit wishy-washy to me.
Geez, you're quite aggressive, John. Welcome back, Scott.
Couple of people grabbed me the other day and said, "You've got to get more aggressive." But they met me. I think they met with you, Dan. Dan's always bloody getting stuck into you. I said, "Yeah, so sorry, Scotty. I meant that for Dan."
It's all right. I'll just deflect it straight back up to him.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, back to the road racing now. Obviously, the standout from the weekend was Romedy in the crash with Garrett Thomas.
We love that.
Yeah, for me it was. That was unbelievable. 100 meters to go, and he just simply
50.
went to change 50.
Just
went to change his gears, and whoopsie-doo. But we've obviously got the Giro coming up, lads, and if we look at the odds...
Did you see, he put himself, he tweeted, or no, he Instagrammed his own photo of that. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah.
Thomas, it was a cracker. Yeah. So, because he's as he's fallen down, he's sort of on the side. Someone, I guess he didn't do this, but someone has put him in a rugby scene as if he's scoring a try.
Right.
Yeah. And he put that out himself. So obviously he wasn't badly hurt, otherwise he wouldn't have. But hey, Richie was going well as well. So Richie
was really good.
Wait and see.
I'll see if I can bring up that Garrett Thomas Instagram post. I can see it. I'll share the screen. Hang on 2 seconds. Keep talking, lads. Obviously, the Giro as well. Is that working? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that's the post.
There it is.
Yeah.
So the other photo shows him, falling, and then that one scoring a try. Now he's a big Welsh fan, isn't he? Welsh football, so Welshman.
Awesome.
So that's cracker. Hey, it's interesting with the odds. So Egan Bernal, they have as the favourite, fair enough.
Yep.
Former France winner for the Giro. But equal second favourite in those odds that you sent through, Dan. You had Simon Yates, which is great for Bike Exchange, but he's sharing equal with Remco Evenepoel. He's only just now coming back from that terrible crash at Il Lombardia.
Well, he hasn't had a race, has he? This is going to be his first race.
Yeah, it's incredible. But how would you put him up as equal favourite? Now, you probably can't put it past him, but wow.
I think his teammate actually is the young kid who finished fourth last Giro, which is
Almeida.
Almeida. I think that's who they'll be riding for. The same with Bernal. I reckon it's most likely be the Russian. What's his name?
Blasov.
Siskov.
Yes.
Siskov.
Yeah. But
how do you reckon Jai Hindley's going to go? Yeah.
Let's hope he goes well.
Is that your phone, John?
Is it ringing? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just take it off your table. Okay. Thanks, mate.
Okay.
Yeah, Jai Hindley.
Yeah, it'd be a great story to see Jai, come back to imagine getting to a Grand Tour and having the leader's jersey, a pink jersey on at the start of the final time trial stage, and then having it ripped off you. That would be. You just spend the whole year wanting to come back. But he's had a few challenges, and he's just getting back into form now. So I think even Jai's not 100% sure on how he's going to go. But, hey, he's a classy young athlete. and they're backing him, even though I hear rumours he could be leaving for next year. But
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. What are the rumours saying? Where is he going to? Just between us?
Yeah.
Look, they're saying that he could be trekking somewhere else, but they're not sure exactly where.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
Right.
speaking of trekking somewhere else, Nibali is going to be on the start line 3 weeks after breaking his wrist.
Yeah, it's
Ooh.
interesting. Yeah.
It's like Matty Heyman.
Yeah.
His was the elbow. And another interesting one's going to be George Bennett, who's got the opportunity to lead his team in the Grand Tour. I didn't even realise we had him on the social distance last week, and he was talking about being on this training camp. And then he said I said, who you got leading the team for the Giro? And he said, me. I was like, what? I didn't know. Yes, thanks for the confidence, mate.
All that training camp out the window, just with one.
It's a very open Giro. And, of course, Simon Yates, who talking about people having motivation. Well, 2 years ago, it looked like he had it in the bag. It was dominating it like he was really in charge. And then one bad day, cracked, and Froome's come up with one of the great rides of all time and turned it right around. Then last year, comes in as favourite with fantastic form and gets COVID and kicked off the race. So I reckon there is a fair bit of fire in the belly of Mr. Simon Yates.
Well, are they better off not having the jersey and trying to take it right near the end, Iffy, to take that pressure off and not having the team, obviously?
Of course, they would want to do that. Got a pretty good team, but it doesn't always. That's wonderful. As Alan Piper said, come into Paris in your slippers. That is wonderful if you can do it. I mean, they managed to do that in the Tour de France last year, UAE, but it's very unusual. So, I mean, that's the perfect scenario. And then normally that can happen for someone who's a very good time trialer and can sort of sit back, be close, and then bang, do that big time trial. But that's not Simon's forte. He's not a brilliant time trialer. He's better than he was. He goes okay, but there are guys there. Bernal's not a great time trialer either. So a couple of guys, but it's very hard the last few days. The last week is the solid week. You got the in Dolomites there. You got 2 days in a row with only 3 days to go, which are really hard. So that would be where I would reckon that they would be planning to really have their big attack.
And the other big news, Iffy, for particularly Aussie audiences, is it's back on SBS for the first time in 5 years or so.
Oh, more than that.
Bloody Joe Pesci's been trying to squeeze too much coin out of the territories, I reckon.
It's quite it's more than 5 years. It's been a long time since SBS have shown it live, which is fantastic. And yes, that's great. And I'll be writing just as big a news. I'll be writing daily stories for the Geelong Addy.
Oh, jeez!
So we'll put that up on the website. And even bigger news, the Detour podcast. We're going to be just about every day, Daniel.
Yes. Saturday nights might be a bit tricky. But we'll work away around that. And Wednesday nights we might be going a bit later. But we're definitely going to commit to the hit.
And whenever the Hawks are playing, if it's Hawks.
Or if the crew from Sale come up on a weekend and want to get on the cans, then it might be a bit of a delay. So, but now we'll work our way around it.
There are 8 Australians in the race. I only just looked this up before though, but 8 Australians. Yeah. Caleb Ewan, he's our favourite for stage wins, of course. So interesting start to the season for Caleb. He's been there or thereabouts, a couple of wins, but not dominating. It's interesting with the sprinters how it sort of ebbs and flows. But no doubt, I reckon he's in the money. Viviani, it will be competition. He needs to do something because he hasn't been very good this year since he changed to Cofidis. Sagan is riding the Giro as well. He's had a win, but it's not the Peter of old. So let's see if he starts to progress.
He blew him with his manager as well, isn't he?
He is. Well, my old mate, Ralph Denk, the owner of the team. So I raced an amateur 6-day with his boss years and years ago. And he's done the wrong thing by sledging him, especially when he's getting paid so much money. Keep that stuff behind doors. Otherwise, you'll end up losing Peter. So we'll see how that plays out. But look, Jai Hindley, you've already mentioned. Chris Hamilton and Michael Storer, they're riding for DSM. Cam Meyer, the Aussie champ, so we get to see the green and gold colours of the Aussie champ, Cameron Meyer, riding in Bike Exchange along with Michael Hepburn, Callum Scottson and Nick Schultz. So they're the 8 Aussies. 34 countries represented. Was a little bit of useless trivia I looked at as well.
Is there a team time trial on this year's Giro?
No.
No,
No.
individual.
So time trial to
Okay.
start with. So 8.6K time trial to start with. So that'll get a couple of second gaps between everybody. Stage 2 is flat. Then there's a couple of rolling stages. I think stage 4 is the first hilltop finish. It's a Cat 2, but that'll be the first chance to sort things out a little bit. Typical Giro, like Vuelta does it a little bit as well, don't they? Like throw in a flat stage, but then within the first couple of days have some sort of hill stuff in there to really mix it up and take the pink jersey away from the sprinters.
There's 100% going to be surprises. Like, I just don't think, even after the back of last year, like, it's just not going to follow a set plan. There's going to be something. But we'll at least be able to check in most days with Whitey, ask what the menu's like, if they're following protocols at the buffet. So, no, that'll be good. And then
But the good thing about the different, it's back to normal. I mean, we've got the Giro first, then the Tour. But last year it was all messed around. We had the Tour de France first, which just didn't seem right. And the whole COVID thing, we managed to get through that. I still don't know how they did it, but and they've still got the COVID thing going pretty bad over there. As big riders, haven't pull out, teams having to pull out only recently. So. It's going to be a big test to get through still. It's not lay down misère, that's for sure.
Johnny, you remember, because a lot of the discussion last year was the unknown with COVID and then the Tour first. And I remember we were talking about, let's wait to see the third week of the Tour. Let's see who's prepared enough on their own, without any races. It was a great race. Obviously, it was a great race. It was a great end of the season. Races thick and fast. You forgot about big races because there were so many that had just come, in the couple of days afterwards. And that seems to have continued for me. Like this, going into this season, the racing has been just fantastic, really exciting. As if everybody's desperate to make sure they get a result in case everything shuts down again. But the only thing that's been cancelled or postponed, the significant race, has been Paris-Roubaix. Everything else has been run. And Roubaix will be now later in the year, so that'll be interesting. No cobble classics, one-day races for those type of riders to prepare for at a different time of year. So that could be the one race that might be really interesting at the end of the season.
Yep, definitely.
For sure.
All right, well, when's it all kick off? Friday night, is it?
Saturday
night.
Saturday night. So they're doing full 3 weeks this time, which is great.
All right. Well, we'll be back then on Saturday night for the Detour Live, and we'll see what special guests we can get. And, it's going to be a massive 3 weeks. Anything, Dad, before we go, guys?
Well, Chris has got his arm to come and join us whenever he can for the Giro. I know he loves the Giro. So hopefully you'll be able to join us quite a bit, Scotty.
Yeah, I'm around, mate. I can join you because there's not much work on for me at the moment.
Well, I'll dig through I think there's some hard drives from that 2009 Giro, so we might get in the DeLorean and recap some classic memories. I'll dig in and find that protest stage.
Oh no.
With Cavendish. Interesting stage is a win nonetheless.
Yeah, the drunk McGrory, the drunk reporter stage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
and Alan Davis with the dodgy Delhi.
stage 8. That's right. Yeah. All right. Well, stay tuned for that. We'll probably go to air. We'll let you know. Follow us on socials, probably around 7 p.m. each night, like we did last time. As we always say, follow us on youtube.com/D2 podcast. Turn on notifications, and we'll see you all on Saturday night for the kickoff for the Giro. Thanks again, Scooter. Thanks, Hippie. See you all soon. Bye.